Hey folks, JR here from Cakes by JR, coming to you from my kitchen. Now, again, my name is JR, and I like to bake. I am by no means a professional. I enjoy to make cakes, cookies, muffins, anything, and I enjoy eating them even more. So, what my channel is going to be here, now you're lucky enough to catch the first one, is I'm going to give you some tips and tricks and some suggestions on some different things when it comes to baking. Now, I'm not here to tell you what to do when you're baking. Baking it's very individual. What works for me may not work for you. What works for you might work for me. So if you got any tips yourself, let me know about it. So today's first video is about the tools that you're going to need when you are beginning to bake. Now, I got 4 kids, and if any of you have kids, you understand that buying a birthday cake from Walmart or Hy-Vee or your local bakery, you almost need to take out a second mortgage when you're doing that. So I thought, around Christmas time, I was like, you know what, I'm going to get myself a cake decorating set, and I'll start making the cakes myself. Can't be that hard. Let me tell you, it's not easy. But if you have some fun with it, you can save a few bucks along the line. Now, the stuff I have is by no means top of the line. I'm all about saving a few bucks. In fact, that's why I decided to start making cakes in the first place. Now, I've made birthday cakes and just some cakes to decorate because I thought it'd be fun. But I'm going to show you in this video some things that I would suggest in purchasing, or you might already have it, when you're starting to make cakes. So the first thing, and for me this is extremely important for convenience, the ease of things, and consistency, honestly, that's going to be your stand mixer. Now, any stand mixer will do you. I personally like this KitchenAid. We've had this for, geez, probably goes 6-7 years. It's still going strong. It's a beautiful purple color. Skull Blake's purple, blue. My wife says it's blue. I say it's purple, dark purple. Anyway, I digress. The nice thing about the KitchenAid is you have the option, this thing in the front, it comes out and you can add different attachments, whether you're meat grinder, meat cutter, pasta maker, vegetable noodle maker, whatever. But it's very versatile in what it can do. So you get a real big bowl with it, and it locks in there so it doesn't move around. But you get a nice big bowl that you can make. I made a half sheet cake in this bowl. Now it got pretty full, but if you're careful, you can make it happen. Now with that, you got your paddle attachment. You got your whisk for things that you need to aerate a little bit more. And then it does come, mine came with a bread hook. I don't really make bread yet, but someday, who knows. But I've never used this one. For whipped cream frosting, things like that, I use my whisk attachment. Or just if you're making a huge thing of eggs, that'll help you. But this is the one I use the most. They're really easy to clean, dishwasher safe, and you'll find that you get a much better consistency when you're mixing and beating things, especially like buttercream. I'm going to show you that in a later video, but you're creaming that butter for a good 5 minutes until it's nice and light and airy. But a good stand mixer is important for the ease of things and all of that. Now this KitchenAid has a few different options with it. You can lock the thing down, you can move it up and down. That makes it easier to add ingredients. I used to have this thing that went over this, that you could just pour like your dry ingredients in, but I don't know what happened to it. This one also has 5 different speed settings. So you got all the way down to that low and slow to super speed. But definitely stand mixer. You can use the old school. You can go hand mixer. But for consistency's sake and for your arm's sake, I would recommend a stand mixer. Now, if you're making cakes, you're going to need a decent pan. Now, When I first decided I was going to start making cakes, I went ahead and I bought a set of 3 springform pans. So I got an 8-inch, a 6-inch, and a 4-inch. Now the nice thing with these springform pans is when you make your cake, sometimes it's kind of a pain in the butt to get them out of the pan. So you just pop the hinge, and you can lift it right out. One thing to keep in mind with these is make sure the bottoms are locked in. After I used these the first time, my son was putting the dishes away, put the thing in there. I wasn't paying attention, my bad. So the second time I went to make the cake, I poured the batter in and it went everywhere. Big mess. But these can be very useful for cheesecakes or anything like that. So springform, that's the set that I went with first, and then I decided, you know what, I want something with a little bit bigger and with another piece in case I ever want to make a tiered cake, which I've done, and I'll show you how to do that later. But I ended up getting these. I got these off of Amazon. They're Wilton brand, I think. Yes, Wilton. That website is amazing, by the way. If you're just starting out, not sure how to do anything, lots of great recipes and tips and tricks. So this one I got a, let's see here, I think this is a 12, 10, 8, and a 6-inch round pan. So you got all of these, and then you got the big boy. Now these are nice aluminum, easy to get the cake out of. They hold up to heat really well. They cook evenly as well. So you're going to want a decent pan. You don't want to go buy a cheapo from the dollar store because your cake's just not going to cook right. It could be raw in the middle and too done on the outside. So you want to get a decent pan. You don't need to break the bank. I think I spent like $20, $25 on these, and they've worked out really well for me so far. The only other type of pan that I bought thus far is a half sheet cake pan. Like I said earlier, I kind of got into the cake game, if you will, to save a few bucks when I'm, when the kids have birthday parties, they need a cake. Half sheet cake is perfect for those smaller family get-togethers. Probably I'd say about 20 or less people. Still got a couple pieces left over for Papa, and there's a little midnight snack. But this one worked out really well. This is a Wilton brand as well. It's 12 by 8. And what I do for these, just to give you a little trick off the bat, is I put parchment paper in the bottom. That way I can just use a knife to cut around the edge, flip it onto my cooling rack, let it cool. Now, cooling racks, very important. You don't have to have a rack to do it. You can let it cool in the pan. However, a lot of people, they get their cake made and they're all excited. Oh, I want to get decorating. You got to let your cakes cool. So a good cooling rack is important. This one is just big enough to fit a half sheet cake on. I'm not even sure where this came from. I think it came from an old oven. I don't remember ever having an oven this small, but this I just found in the basement. Cleaned it up, polished it up, and now it works extremely well. You can fit the half sheet cake on there or a couple of rounds, whatever you're making. But very important to let your cakes cool completely before you start decorating, or else you're just going to have a runny, sloppy mess, and nobody likes a runny, sloppy cake. Well, the cake will probably be fine, but the frosting will not look real great. Still probably tastes great, but won't look real great. So moving on, now that you got your cake cooled, you're ready to decorate, there's a couple of other things that I would recommend having. The first being a cake stand. It spins around. It makes things really easy. You put this on the table, you put your either your plate or your cardboard cutout dealy bobber on the top of here. You can kind of get down in there, spin it around, smooth out the frosting and all that. This one actually came with the piping set that I got off of Amazon. Just nothing real fancy. It's kind of wobbly, but it gets the job done. And like I said, I'm not about spending all sorts of money. I don't think my wife would be too happy about that to begin with, but nonetheless, a good cake table thing that spins around. I think they call that a lazy Susan. I wonder, here's a question for you. Who is Susan? Why do they call it a lazy Susan? Was she just lazy and just spun around or what? It's always baffled me. Second thing you're going to want is a cake plate. This one is a round one. Fits the 12-inch perfectly, so I can get a good decorating on the bottom. This, again, I just found around here. I don't know what it's for, but you know what it is now? It's cake plate now. Yeah, fancy stuff. I think it's probably from the early 70s, but and it's made by Tupperware, so you know it's good quality stuff. I mean, Uncle Rico sold this kind of stuff, so just don't try running it over in your van. If you don't want to use a cake plate, or let's say you're making a cake for somebody and you're like, I'm never getting that plate back. You can go and you can purchase pre-cut round cardboard cutouts. These are nice. I got the one I got came with like 10 of each of these. I think they're a 10, 8, and a 6-inch. But these, if you want, you could wrap them in foil, use them again, whatever you want to do there. But those are nice, and they're like $10 for like 50 of them. So might as well just make it rain and get them. Now, another very important thing with baking is baking honestly is just a big science experiment. So ratios and measurements are important. So you're going to want to get, and you probably already have these around your house, which is the beauty, is some measuring cups and some measuring spoons. Now my wife, God love her, she is an excellent cook. She could go out, I could say we got nothing for dinner, she could make a 5-course meal. But she doesn't like to measure. It's eyeball. My wife can make cakes and things like that, but she could burn cookies with the oven off. And that's mainly because she doesn't like to measure. She doesn't like to take the time to measure. And when baking, that's very important for consistency and just making sure that everything is going to come together correctly. If you don't have enough of one thing, your cake could be mushy, or it could get hard, or it could just fall apart altogether. So, like I said, you probably already have measuring cups and measuring spoons around your house. These ones I had around my house, I got probably 18 different sets of measuring cups that are mixed and matched. These are just the ones that actually match, and I like them because they're all on this little key thing, and I can hang them up on my little hook, and then I know where they are. Until the kids mess with them, and then they're all over the place. But I digress. And then measuring spoons, there's some on there. This one has a few more options, but you don't need to break the bank with this stuff. You can probably get that kind of thing at the dollar store or wherever. But measuring cups and spoons, very important for consistency and making sure that your science experiment, your cake, or cookies or muffins or whatever you're making comes out correctly. Now, you're also going to want a serrated knife. So what this is going to help you with is when you got your cakes cooled and you're ready to level it off, you're going to make a beautiful 16-layer cake. Probably not, but who knows. You're going to cut off that top, and the serrated edge is really going to help you get around there and make it a very flat, even surface so that you're not all cattywampus when you're doing that. Now, I had an old tackle box sitting outside in the shed. So I decided, you know what, that's where I'm going to keep all my stuff together. Because I like to be as organized as I can, but sometimes life happens. But all my cake decorating stuff is in one box. Don't worry, I cleaned it out. There's no fish guts or anything in there. But, so in the top, you got, and all of this came in this set that I got. I'll try to put a link in this video somehow. I don't really know what I'm doing with YouTube videos and all this and that, but all of this stuff came in a set that I bought off Amazon. So you got your piping bags. These are disposable. Nice. You get done with them, you just toss them. Get rid of them. And you can get like 18 million of these for about $3. The next, so this came with it. I haven't used it yet. It's a serving spatula. It has like a serrated edge there, if you can see. So I'm assuming you can cut your cake and then serve it with it, so you can have your cake and eat it too. Was that? No, it wasn't funny. Sorry. And then, so I got 2 offset spatulas. So your offset spatulas, those are going to be good for decorating the tops of cakes. You can see, you know, you can kind of do that number, or even on the side, it'll work. But your offset spatula, really nice to keep your fingers out of your frosting, because then you don't have to lick them off and get fat like me. And then you got your straight edge spatula. This is good for scooping it out, throwing it on top, and then the sides, smoothing out there, or you know, however you want to use it. Let's see here. What else do we got? We got, so this is a scissors. As you can see, I haven't used it yet. So this is when you're making your roses with the piping tip, which I haven't been able to figure out how to do it yet. I'm not all that artsy, but you take this and cut it off the little spinner deal that I'll show you in a minute, and you can place it on your cake. Also have this. I haven't used it yet. This, you can put a piping bag in here with your piping tip on the end, fine tip, and then hold it like a pen, and you can write somebody's name. Again, haven't used it yet. I like freehand. It's just how I roll. This is a cake leveler. This one is it's a really cheap, flimsy one, so I haven't really used it yet. But these can be helpful if you're cutting the cake in half, or you're taking out the top, whatever it is. The other nice thing is it is adjustable, so you can slide this up and down in the little notches to make it fit whatever cake you're cutting. And then this one, this set actually came with some Russian piping tips, which they got different designs. They're a lot bigger than your standard piping tips, but I haven't used them yet. I'd like to. I just haven't had a chance to use them. And it comes with this coupler that you can put 3 different colors of frosting, and then that makes your flower or whatever you're making with that piping tip. Makes it look real fancy. And if you know me, I'm all about being fancy. Not really. I could really care less. But it makes it look cool, and that's kind of what we're going for. So again, I keep everything together in one place. That makes it easier to keep track of and make sure that I don't have stuff strewn all over the place. Matter of fact, I'm going to put this knife back in here as well. And then, oh, this piece. This is a pretty cool little tool. So this is a side leveler, and you can see it's got a straight edge, and then around the edges it's got you know, the teeth there, the little notches, and then smaller teeth. So this is when you're leveling off your cake, you can level it off this way or off the top. But if you're like me and you screw up a lot and you're a perfectionist, you can actually use one of these side ones, and it hides some of the imperfections. So it gives that kind of 3D look, but pretty neat. And then it's got a little hook here, so if you wanted to hang it on the wall, you could, but I just keep it in there. Now, the really fun part, your piping tips. So this used to be a lure box, but I decided, hey, you know what? It's now a piping tip box. So this came with 48 different tips, and I put 10 in each little compartment. I don't want to tip them all out, but you can see. And it comes with a little cleaner. You can clean in there, make sure you're all clean and sanitary. And then your tips themselves, they're not that big, about the size of a thimble. And so probably about ½ an inch by 1.5 inches. But you got different designs you can do with each one. Let's see here, this was 12 samples there. But so the nice thing is you got your piping bag, you got your disposable. You don't want to have to change your bag every time. You might want to use a different tip with that color. Is you got these couplers. So what this is this goes down into the bag, and then you put your tip on, like this. So, and then you put your coupler on, and then that keeps the tip out on the outside. And then let's say you want to make something different with that color. Just take this off, take your tip off, clean it out, put a different one in there. So pretty nifty. It works out well. I use them with whatever I'm decorating. I was talking about those roses before, so this is a little, it's basically just a screw with a thing on it here. But when you get to a point where you're making roses, you're piping and you're spinning this to make that rose, and you use that scissors, take it off, put it on your cake. So again, haven't figured out how to use it, but someday. This set also came with a bowl scraper, so that's in there. I just use a spatula or something else. And then also some reusable piping bags. If you're running low, Amazon hasn't delivered in a couple of days, you can use that. So, ladies and gentlemen, those are the tools that I suggest you could use. Tackle box sold separately, obviously. But yeah, I mean, have fun with it. That's really what it's all about. Have fun with it. Get creative. Get the kids involved. Get them off of the tablet. Get them off the TV. Get them away from the video games. I mean, this is real world stuff here. And there's nothing quite like having your kids help you make something, and then them seeing the finished product. So you get to see it from start to finish. So have fun with it. Do your own thing. You do you. And if you have any suggestions for me, again, like I said, these are just my suggestions. What works for me may not work for you. But something you do might work for me. And I'm always open to suggestions and learning. So we're going to learn through this together. Be on the lookout for a new video. I'm going to try to put one up every week or two. But yeah, enjoy your baking, have fun, and we'll see you next time.